Welcome back to Buddy V's Kitchen. And I am so happy today because I got the honor of having my executive chef from Buddy V's restaurant, Chef Bryan Forgione.
Forgione.
Pleasure,
man.
What's
Great
going
to see
on,
you.
brother?
Great to be
How
back
you
on
been?
the East Coast. I've been very good.
I know. So tell me a little bit about where you grew up and kind of your start in the kitchen.
Sure. I guess kind of a way of putting it was I was born into it. We grew up on Long Island, and my father, Larry Forgione, he was big back in the late 70s, early 80s. He started off at the River Cafe, where he really made a name for himself, and then had this great restaurant right in Midtown called An American Place. Growing up as a kid, I was just surrounded by it. I guess I really appreciated it as I got older, and I decided that I wanted to get involved. It started off it wasn't like, hey, I always wanted to be a chef. It started off as, hey, Pops, I need some money. Do you have anything open? So you can get in the kitchen and start helping the dishwasher out if you really want. You have an opening.
I know that job.
It started off there, and you're surrounded by, you always had great people working for him. And I think being in that environment where you're surrounded by good people and you're seeing that family mentality, it really, I was drawn into it.
And I gotta tell you, you gotta read up on his dad, Larry Forgione, because he was one of the 4 founders. I have so much admiration and respect for those chefs who kind of fought that battle, because now, you know what, we are a culinary powerhouse in the world, being Americans, and it makes me proud to be American. Bryan has also been at Buddy V's from when we opened.
Since the opening.
Yep. And now we're familiar.
And now we're familiar.
And we're only starting. Well, I trust these guys to kind of bring my family values and food to you guys. So today, what are we gonna cook?
Today we're going to be cooking mozzarella on Carozza, which is just a fancy way of saying Italian grilled cheese.
I know.
Who doesn't like a grilled cheese, right?
Amen. With mozzarella inside. And what I love about ours is the flavor inside, like that basil.
The pesto, the fresh basil, the basil pesto. And again, it's very simple in nature. It's just about taking good ingredients and putting them together properly.
And think about, this going back into Italy. This is what we call peasant food. Because, everybody always had day-old bread, and then they would just cut up some mozzarella and make these grilled cheeses with it.
It's kind of like if you ever had a Monte Cristo, it's that same kind of concept where we're putting it in like an egg batter. It would help it absorb into it, and it would make it palatable again. And then, I think we just take that simple concept and we just stepped it up a little bit with paying respect and homage to the way that it was done in the old ways.
Well, listen, I don't got to show you how to do this. I'm going to leave it to Chef Bryan. All right, I'll let you go, brother. Thank you so much. You're going to love it.
So we have our sliced bread here. So there is a rustic Italian bread called Filone. You can find it from any one of your bake shops. And if there's a bread you want to use in place of that, whether it's sourdough or whatever it may be, even using baguettes, that'll work as well. We've got our fresh mozzarella, all right? And this is something that I recommend that you get from, if you have like a deli that makes it, or anything, just fresh mozzarella that's packed in some kind of water, which really helps keep it moist. So basil pesto, which is very simply, first ingredient, obviously basil, extra virgin olive oil, pine nuts, Parmesan cheese, garlic, salt, pepper, a little bit of lemon, and we like to put in a little bit of chili flake. We have our flour, which we're going to use, our eggs, which is going to be part of our breading station. And of course we have our cooking station here, which is a blend of extra virgin olive oil and vegetable oil. So before we start getting into the actual cooking of it, we're going to do something fun, which is we're going to create the garnish and kind of work backwards from there. And for the garnish, and this is, you get 2 things out of it. One, we're going to fry the basil. We're going to perfume the oil that we're going to be cooking our sandwich in, but it's also going to make a nice little, fancy little garnish for us for when it comes out, and it's going to wow all your guests at the table. So very simply, we just take fresh, beautiful basil leaves. And yes, don't stand too close to it. As you can see, it gives a nice little pop. And we're pretty much just gonna fry this until it stops bubbling. And once it stops bubbling, it's ready to go. And you see I use a slotted spoon here. And if you guys can see that, nice, beautiful, crisp leaf here. And you can smell it too. You can really smell the basil kind of perfuming into the oil. And it just adds another little gentle layer of depth to everything that we're doing here. So we're going to take the basil and we're going to put it off to the side until we're ready to do the sandwich. So we got our cheese, and what we want to do with our cheese is just stew it. It's almost kind of like, think about it like we're marinating it. All right, we're going to put the basil pesto on. All right, we're going to put just a little bit of dried oregano, touch of chili flake, kosher salt, and coarse black pepper. All right, and then we're gonna take our Filone bread here. And then very simply, again, once again, we're making a grilled cheese here, so we're gonna kind of take it. And you can break the cheese up. One, it helps it kind of melt together better, and it fits, and it also helps you kind of fit right perfectly into the way that you're doing your bread. And you don't want to like coat the cheese completely in all the pesto and everything that you're doing. It's nice as it melts, all the pesto and all the seasonings are kind of go through, and it gives you nice little pockets of flavor. And then we want to take some fresh basil. I prefer you just take the basil just like Grandma used to do, and we're going to break it and just lay it down. We don't want to lose any of the flavors, any of the juices. So from this point, we're going to top it off. All right, we're gonna give it a little bit of a push. Now this is the part where we get our hands nice and dirty. All right. Now what we're doing is we're gonna be creating kind of like we're binding it together. So we're gonna put the flour first, and then it's gonna go right into this mixture that we have of whole eggs and cream. So we wanna get all the sides too, because it's gonna get right in there. And we're gonna push it down into one side, give it a flip. And now this is the fun, messy part. We're gonna pick it up, and then we wanna squeeze it together, get out some of the excess, but at the same time, we're kind of locking all this in. And then we're gonna put it right onto our upside down pan here, so that way we can slide it off really easily into our oil. I'm gonna wash my hands. Now your fryer is gonna be, I mean, we're not temping it. You know, we just wanna do a shallow fry on it, but you know, a good way to kind of test it is you take a little bit, and you put it, and you go in, and as long as it doesn't flame up too quickly, and you can kind of, you know, just try it out, and you get used to how hot it's supposed to be. And there we go. We want a nice little shallow fry on that. And you want to have your oven at about 375 degrees, because we're going to pan fry it, but then we're just going to finish it off just to kind of seal it all in and make sure that cheese is melted all the way through. It's always good just to kind of sneak a peek while it's cooking, just to kind of see how quickly or how fast, if you need to turn up the flame or turn it down. And if you see behind me here, we have a nice little pot of our homemade marinara sauce. And this is something that it's kind of like, if you think like a grilled cheese and tomato soup. After we bake off the Carozza, we're gonna cut it and we're gonna serve it with that. And then it's just great when you put it together. You get a bite of the grilled cheese with the marinara sauce, and man, it's just a perfect combination. All right, so I think we are good to go here. There you go. If you've ever had a Monte Cristo before, all right, it's the same kind of concept. We're batter frying the sandwich, and you can see, I mean, you can tell just by looking at it that the texture on that, the crust, the crispiness, it's exactly where you want it. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then we're gonna top it off with just a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and we're gonna finish it off in the oven. And I think we are good to go. Yep. So we're gonna transfer that right onto our baking sheet here. We're gonna top it off with some Parmesan cheese. And then right into the oven. So the Carozza goes into the oven, I would say 3 to 5 minutes. And again, it's gonna be at 375. And it's always good just to, you wanna, like, again, sneak a peek, open up the sandwich, make sure that your cheese is melted all the way through. So it's been a few minutes. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, you see the cheese coming out the sides here? That's looking beautiful. So we're gonna set that here. Let's move it over to our cutting board. And let's take a ladleful of this delicious marinara sauce. Let's go, we'll go once this way and kind of do a nice X pattern on it to make it somewhat even as slices. And there we go, nice, delicious melted cheese. Now you see the fresh basil, you see the little pockets of the basil pesto. And if that wasn't enough, we're just gonna kind of drizzle just a little bit on top. Touch Parmesan. And where did our beautiful fried basil leaves go? For the finishing touch. And that's our mozzarella and Carozza. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to dig into this thing. Thank you everyone for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you again.